All the games got the smooth jazz. This is May I Take Your Order, where you go out to eat at some potential kind of Cthulhian restaurant, as you can tell by this art. Apparently this has some kind of gore in it, so if that bothers you, this may not be for you. Just heads up, it could get a little gory. There were spoilers in the gore folder, so I'm just gonna let it happen. I don't mind gore. All right, I've been filling out a few Let's try that again. All right, I've been filling out a few applications today, and this is the last one. I've been applying to work at restaurants all over. It might not seem glamorous, but I want to see how different places are run. If I want to open my own restaurant someday, it's crucial to see what does and doesn't work. A friend told me I should save my top pick for last, and I should really kick him for that. My hand's about to fall off. It's a pretty ritzy establishment, but comfortable. Fancy, but not overpriced. Important clientele, but still kind and inclusive. If you can't make connections here, you're dead. Financially speaking. Maybe other ways too, based on how the games I play go. And the food, remarkable. I've never heard of anyone ever having a bad meal there. Well, that seems very sus. Are they paying for all the reviews then? I gotta know how they accomplish so much. So I try not to be too nervous and fill this out like it's any other application. My first name is... Oh, I just realized I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of this video. Let's try this again, shall we? Hi, I'm Sasha, and this is Enjoying Pixels. This is May I Take Your Order? My first name is Todd. Todd's gonna work at a restaurant. There we go, Todd. And I finished filling out the form. I capped the pen and leaned back in my chair. Man, it's nice to be done. It's nice to be Todd. Well, except for heading outside and turning them all in one at a time. Really? Don't any of these places want like online applications? Better get to it. 2 weeks later, I'm waist deep in my first Saturday shift at the restaurant. Busy doesn't even begin to describe it. After 7 hours of the weekend rush, I'm ready to go home. I stop off at table 6 and go through the motions. Thank you for dining with us, sir. My name is Todd, and I'll be your server this evening. Remember last time we played Todd in the game? He went to a diner and then he died. He smiles at me. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Todd. Whoa, Mr. Todd was my father's name. Have you dined with us before, sir? Yes, indeed. I'm quite happy to be back. Just you this evening, sir? No, my girlfriend will be here shortly. I'll just have a cup of coffee while I wait for her. I'll go get that for you right away then. No rush. Don't ever say that to a waiter. Countless families and couples have come and gone today. For the past hour, that one guy's been clogging up table 6. Are you doing all right, sir? He checks his watch again. Stood up guy. Oh no, his name changed. Yes, I mistook the time. She'll be here any second. He's been saying that for the past 45 minutes. I tell him to pack it up and leave, but he doesn't have the look I'd expect for someone in his position. There's anxiety, but only a little bit, and there's no disappointment. Not a shred of doubt in his eyes. He really thinks... Excuse me. He looks up at me. It seems like he's come to some sort of decision. Thank goodness. But this is a restaurant with crayons, correct? No. Sir? Get out. Yes, sir. We have those for kids. Excellent. A sting of ferocity enters his eyes, one that doesn't quite pair naturally with crayons. One, please, and red if you've got it. Yeah, sure. I'm not about to argue with a customer, so I head to the front. It's not exactly usual, but the guy's been sitting here for half an hour with no phone. Well, you just said that he's been there for way longer than that. I'm caught between pity and irritation and hope for the umpteenth time that he has enough empathy to tip well on the single cup of coffee he's been nursing. There's a small tin with several crayons. We try to keep fresh ones ready. I grab... Let's get him the crayon he wants. Like, why not? It's been stood up. Let's save. You know, make his night a little better. Let's get a red crayon, sir, then please leave. I snatch up a red crayon. No sense being mean to him. He may be weird, but he's probably having a bad night too. I bring the crayon back to him and hand it over. Thank you, Mr. Todd. It's no big deal. Hey, are you okay? I saw you don't have a cell phone, but we could call your girlfriend and... No warning, no nothing. He knocks everything off the table and climbs on. Oh no. What? Sir, please get down. His deft hand scrawls a wide circle then another, then sections off areas, slicing as though the crayon were a knife. Oh no. He fills it with symbols. They look almost like zodiac signs. It's the occult. Homo sum humanae amenihil aliam num puto. Oh no, I'm reading from the Necronomicon. Ah. Well, I just read that out loud. That's what you don't do. That's how you end up in the Evil Dead. It's like I stood up too fast. There's a rushing in my head. There's a pressure, like my ears are going to pop. Ooh. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. Ah. The tablecloth rips and there's a spray of sweet-smelling fluid. Never a good sign. That's Cthulhu fluid. I leap away from the table as something bursts out. Wet, spiked appendages are flailing all over, slapping and snaking their way over the windows and doors. Ugh, slapping. They're fleshy but soft, too soft, and they mush and disfigure as they slam against everything in sight. One smacks the hat off another diner, who continues to eat her meal, unfazed. Nobody is screaming, and nobody notices me on the ground, arms raised to protect my face and throat, too tight to scream again. But that's okay. The thing is screaming enough for the entire restaurant. It's letting out a dual-tone screech, high and low, but I can't discern one throat, let alone two. Crayon thrown to the floor, the stood-up guy in worst diner ever starts to call out at it. Sweetie, for goodness sake, put your body on. We're in a nice restaurant. It screeches and roars back at him. I know, but... He waves a bundle of cloth at it. I brought you some clothing, and it's super comfy. It slurps up the bundle of fabric, and the creature bubbles and draws back in on itself, twisting until... I emerge. You're here. You had me worried, so I figured I'd help break the barrier down a bit. Teleporia, you have no idea how good it is to see you. When he says that word, my ears finally pop and my teeth grit. It's a bad word. It's not a curse word per se. Not so much a word you wouldn't say in front of your boss. It feels like the wrong answer in a classroom or meeting. That moment when everyone turns and looks at you and you just want to sink through the floor. I just want to sink through the floor. I want to very quietly go get my coat and change my name and move to whatever town is on the exact opposite point on the globe from where I'm currently standing. You informed me that the barrier was to be frail in this portion of your world. I will hold you responsible for the trouble. He's beaming at the thing that came out of the hole, but I can't look at it. It hurts to roll my eyeballs towards it, like I'm dehydrated. When I close my eyes, the dark behind my eyelids is so cool and so soft. Huh. There are tears running down my cheeks. I hadn't noticed. The guy, Hendrik, beams and gestures towards the gaggle of eyes and puffy wool. This is my girlfriend, Teleporia. Impudent microbe! I may choose to craft for myself the form of a creator, a birthing one, but I am capable of far greater creations than your prepubescent feet. Prepubescent? Oh. I hope she doesn't mean that. And far more erroneously, your inflated ego thinks I would deign to refer to you as any form of companion. Her words wash over him like a gentle breeze. It looks like she could rip his face off, but her roars just make his eyes brim with joy. We've been dating for about 400 years now, and though the long distance thing is an eensy bit of an annoyance, we make it work. The moment I finally devised an effective method of accomplishing your demise, I will rip your soul from your ever-regenerating body and chew it to a gruel. He sits down at the all but destroyed table and picks up his menu. But until that beautiful day, when I can be with you forever, you're gonna need to eat something else. Teleporia stops. She looks at me and I bounce between eyes trying to make contact with one that doesn't stare down into my deepest inadequacies. There is human fuel here. I nod. Her mouth breaks open into a smile. Excellent. You are spared from punishment, Hendrik, if only for a moment. She sits down, but not on a chair. Dozens of her tentacles are still present throughout the entire room, spikes driven deep into the surfaces, blocking all the exits. She settles into one of the squishy appendages, looking pleased. So then, maybe we should order an appetizer? It's not that I can't believe that this is happening. I have an open mind. But as far as sudden supernatural shifts into my life, I was really hoping for wizard school. Or just a plain old haunting. Some ghosts are pretty cool, right? Depends on the type. At least with a zombie or something, I know the rules. What are the rules with this thing? Do I throw rice on the ground, stall her? Will she attack me if I touch her with iron? I'd listen to my gut, but I can't make out anything but general foreboding. Demon? You summon demons, so that fits. But I don't know. Something doesn't seem quite right about that. Maybe she's a
Excuse me?
Oh, I can barely think, but I can at least fall back on one set of rules. I struggle to stutter out the rote reply. Would you like to start off with a soup or salad tonight? The man grins and gives an eager nod.
Could I please get the blue cheese salad? And for my sweetie?
The Teleporia rolls her eyes and her teeth flash as she cuts in. Hendrik, I've been on enough of these sham dates to know that ordering for your companion is rude. His face falls.
But it's been ages since you've eaten any food. You're chewing on the fork right now.
She gives him a glare and slowly places the slightly bent cutlery back down on the table. Fine. Before he can say another word, she makes her move. I don't want your advice, though. I want the young human to choose for me. Oh no, that's too much pressure for Todd. He sighs, annoyed. But he checks himself for looking at me. I think he knows that she's putting me on the spot. I can appreciate that he's trying to look out for me. I mean, I'd appreciate it more if he could have not summoned some kind of eldritch thing during an already busy Saturday shift. Or at all. I ease my throat open enough to squeak out. What should we give? Let's see. What's good here? Tomato bisque? Caesar salad? Oh, that's so, no, run of the mill. Lamb chili. Mean. Super salad. Let's start off with a nice tomato bisque. Maybe, or maybe she's an eldritch horror. Maybe she'd like some meat. Get the lamb chili out there. This doesn't seem to mean anything to her. Great. No, should have gone with my first instinct. The first instinct was the soup. And what would you like for your entree? She slams a fist down on the table. My stomach lurches. First bring me the matter. This physical form requires fuel to sustain itself. I turn on my heel and fly out of there, an excuse to leave. If there are any kindly extra-dimensional beings looking down on me right now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank them. I rush into the kitchen. Back in the kitchen, everyone's still bustling about. Other servers are calling in their orders. The ambitious cooks are working. The slightly less ambitious cooks are cracking jokes with each other. They're as oblivious as the customers out front. I can see my manager discussing some menu changes with the head chef. Hey, does anyone else see what's going on out there? But nobody turns to look at me. Hey, I'm serious. What the hell is going on? Are they ignoring me? Do you expect me to just come back here and bring in this order like nothing's wrong? I take a sarcastic tone. Yeah, we got a blue cheese and a chili for table 6. Just another usual night, right? Without warning, a tray with the order is put down the counter next to me. But other than that, there's no hint of a glance, no guilty looks. Hey! Nobody even flinches. Fine. Looks like I'm on my own.
And did I tell you how lovely your eyes are this evening?
From your ever-effusive sewer pipe of compliments springs something worthwhile. I made most of them myself, but the eye in the center of my head was my reference object.
I couldn't even tell the difference. Your anatomy has gotten so much better since the last decade.
It is easier when I have a fresh supply of study materials, so I suppose I can remain here long enough to consume some matter. Let no sentient being claim that I do not repay my debts.
Well, that's just one of the perks of the job. Teachers can bring home knowledge, cooks can bring home food, and surgeons can bring spare body parts back to their girlfriends.
I can say with relative certainty that that isn't how it works. If I ever find out this man's last name, I am never going to his hospital. I served Teleporia her chili, trying not to get too close. Please be careful, it's very hot.
Remember, sweetie, that too much heat can injure.
Silence, meat garden! I know how to do with volatile heat sources.
Oh, what to? She flings the scalding liquid across the table and hits Hendrik square in the chest. Ah. He rushes out to the bathroom, face red from pain. We don't serve our soups at a heat that could do permanent damage, but still, that has to hurt. She closes most of her eyes and inhales a deep breath, satisfied. When she speaks again, her rough voice has a tranquil tone.
Clean it up, human. This is an establishment with standards, is it not?
Well, it was, I mutter. The elegant charm might be a bit altered by the sudden presence of giant tentacles. She snuggles down into her seat.
This is a gift for your owners. This is a sliver of my true form.
Well, it's lovely. Sorry that you didn't like the chili.
Apology unnecessary, human. I enjoyed that immensely.
She sniffs the air.
And it smells nice as well.
She dabs a little of the meat on her neck.
This body has concentrated blood flow around the throat and wrists. These pulse points heat and disperse stray molecules of matter, allowing humans to perceive them with their noses.
She seems quite pleased with this luxury. She wraps the scarf around herself. Now that I think about it, the clothing Hendrik brought for her is all very heavy. A maxi skirt, a thick sweater, and a blanket scarf. The way you're clutching that scarf, are you
You may not have my scarf. It retains my heat. I will continue to generate and retain heat, and it will belong to me, not you.
I take a step back. No, that's all your heat. Fair and square. She growls. Happily?
Yes, all mine. Hendrik will be procuring more matter this evening, which will continue to power this form. Physical exertion is a luxury, the caloric energy necessary to move but a digit.
She lifts one of her own claws.
Is precious. I've gone for thousands of years lying in wait for foolish summoners to tear open rifts and let in the good heat from your world.
Teleporia leans down the table. The edges of the scarf trail into her chili. Or at least what's left of it. Is it selfish to be happy that she's disarmed now? I look at the still present tentacles and recalculate that statement. She at least cannot harm me with soup. It was chili. And that's something.
So human, how do you enjoy generating your own heat?
It's good. I'd rather just turn on a heater though. It's not great. Really, have you ever gotten sweaty? I like it. Physical activity is fun. It's good, but I'd rather just turn on a heater, you know? When it gets cold, I can't bring myself to do much of anything, so I'll just turn up the thermostat. She slams a hand down.
No! This is unacceptable. Lazy human. In the void, there is no heat. There are no suns off of which to leech like some creature that lives off the blood of another.
I don't think she knows that the verb correlates to an actual animal.
You need to be more grateful.
And Hendrik returns. Oh no, my chance to impress Teleporia.
Getting along well?
As well as might be expected.
Still thank you for keeping her company. We'll eat our appetizers and...
She shakes her head.
I'm finished with mine.
He laughs.
Of course, how could I forget? So then, would you like to move on to the main course now? The next part of the meal.
Ah yes, with the larger portions.
Hendrik points to her menu.
So what were you thinking about?
I always like steak, but I admit that I was kind of thinking about splurging on the...
Hey human Todd!
I snap to attention. Yes, ma'am.
Choose. Do it promptly and wisely, or else I will need to consume something else for my main course.
She's staring me right in the eyes, and her gaze lingers on my mouth. She stares at my teeth. No. Todd likes his teeth. Stay away from Todd's teeth, please. Could she eat my teeth? Well, I think you would enjoy... Okay, we got a steak. That's what Hendrik was suggesting. That's what Hendrik was suggesting. We have live lobster here. Ooh, it's alive. Maybe she'll like that, like some kind of like Klingon guk or something. It's alive. We have live lobster here. Live, fresh, right down your throat. Hendrik gives a bit of a nod. Oh, she's into it. Yeah.
That's my order too. It's been a while, but this is a special night.
What? At what point did humans discover the joy of consuming live creatures?
Wait, she doesn't think I'll serve it her while it's still... No, sweetie, I'm afraid that most of us are still a touch prudish about that sort of thing. But they have a tank here, so lobster is fresh. Nobody get in the lobster tank. This isn't venom. It's about to get venom up in this restaurant.
Nothing is as fresh as squeezing the life from a creature with your jaws. Feeling it writhe and struggle in a fruitless attempt to stave off the icy curtain of death.
Look at Hendrik's face. Why is he so into that? He's way too into that. She's looking straight at my throat. 2 lobster dinners coming right up. I rush away as quickly as I can. I try to convince the chef to let me serve 1 lobster live. I feel downright ghoulish, but between me and a crustacean, I'm going to defend myself every time. But her reaction is the same as the last time. She prepares the dish as usual and hands them off to me, never making eye contact or reacting to anything I say.
What is this?
She lifts up the extra utensil. It's the lobster cracker. Use that to crack open the shell.
This is a fair idea, but such a waste, Todd. To use this on a deceased creature.
Well, if the food is dead, isn't it easier to consume? She waves a claw at me.
Not if you have to crack it open anyway.
Hendrik is already digging the meat out of his.
I like it. It's soothing to have a little tactile activity as part of your meal.
Teleporia's claws slip on the lobster cracker.
Meat shield, how are you employing your tool?
Well, you put either end of the metal bit over.
Raise it up and demonstrate.
He holds the lobster cracker in one leg up, leaning forward so they're close enough for her to get a good look. She holds hers up, pantomiming his actions, then promptly grabbing one of his hands, wrapping the cracker around his pointer finger and gripping it tightly. Oh, yeah, indeed. His finger juts out at an odd angle, and blood drips onto the torn tablecloth. She cackles and throws the metal tool at his head.
Fool, I can easily employ such a simple item.
Ha ha. He's leaning away from his injured hand, the other on his face.
Right you are, you got me.
He sure does look embarrassed. It's really hard to tell through the pain. I mean, that is an expression of pain on his face, right? I guess she got him? He breathes heavily, trying to get himself under control. As though to prove a point, he goes right back to eating dinner. As though nothing were wrong. So before I go, is everything to your liking? Does Todd get a tip? Is the food I'm powering your true form enough?
Silly Todd, when in my true form, I do not consume human fuel.
Huh?
This human template, what did you call it?
Hendrix caught mid-bite and he covers his mouth to respond.
Human soda.
My human soda. It consumes calories, inhales oxygen, excretes feces, all the same as yourself, I assume.
I never expected to have a restaurant patron ask if I breathe and poop, but here we are.
But my true form requires something much more deeply sustaining.
She stares me down. She looks at my teeth again. She looks me in the eye. She holds the eye contact and waits. I try not to squirm, but my moxie is inadequate for this situation. She waits and then laughs. I can breathe again.
Delicious. A light dusting of fear. Nothing too overwhelming.
If that doesn't strike her as much fear, please let me never ever learn what does. So you eat fear then?
It falls under my purview.
Suffering. Sweetie's true form eats concepts, and she builds her human sonas to have quite the taste for them too. Any form of important emotion can sustain her, but she's picky.
I am not. Suffering is the only thing worth eating. Eating anything else would be beneath me.
It's okay. Whatever you eat, I love you just the way you are.
And I would like you much better with several more stab wounds to the head.
Anytime, sweetie.
Though I manage to sneak away for the next 15 minutes, I know that I'll eventually have to return. I try to strike up a conversation with the line cooks again. So, how do you guys feel about the recent tentacle invasion? Of course, nobody responds. Yeah, it's hard to really put it into words, huh? No response. Dishes click. I guess the spooky atmosphere is a certain charm, but I don't think it'll catch on with the baby boomers. Conventional wisdom says they like elegance or rustic charm, and Midwestern moms are not into dripping fluids. I don't know, maybe it'd be like niche and edgy. I mean, as a general group. I don't want to assume individual tastes. Thank you, Todd. This gets boring quickly, so after the appropriate waiting period, I head back over. So thank you for dining with us tonight. I did it. I made it through. No, you didn't. Dessert. Don't even pretend. I'm tempted to not even give them a check, to just rush them right out the door, but I refuse to slip up now. It's been a delight getting to know the both of you.
How kind of you. You know I was planning on heading out, but you know what?
I couldn't care less if I attempted, and I'm very powerful. I am capable of caring far less than most humans could in their most apathetic dreams.
Let's do dessert.
Okay. I look from his smiling face to Teleporia's cruel one. I know how this goes. Let's make a recommendation. I recommend our chocolate torte for the delightful couple. Do you feel like drinking? I sure do. After dinner brandy? Screw it. Caution to the wind. Bananas Foster flambe. Caution to the wind. Let's lay it on fire. Is my professionalism slipping? Must be.
What are we impregnating?
Sweetie, it's a figure of speech.
Oh, he actually said it. Dang.
I don't have that function this time round.
Sweetie, I think he's just tired.
That's okay. I think if I want this to be truly satisfying night for our esteemed void goddess, then she's gonna enjoy this dessert, or at least how we cook it.
What is it blathering about?
But I can tell I've got her hooked. We cook it tableside with a huge flame. And there it is.
I'm not so sure about this.
Looks like he's picked up on the pattern too. Oh, I insist. Todd wants to see someone get lit on fire. I don't even need to write this one down. 1 flaming dessert for table 6. I scramble about the kitchen grabbing everything I need. Oh, Todd's gonna do it himself. Am I cleared to do this? Doesn't matter. Hell no. 2 weeks is not long enough to have permission to set things on fire next to the diners. But tonight's special, isn't it? I wheel the cart over. Feeling a mite chatty, I take my time preparing to light it on fire. So congrats on getting out of, what did you call it? The cold place?
The void.
Void. God, what's it like in there?
Dark, cold, mostly barren. Locked for something approaching an eternity with nothing but your own thoughts. Unless one can become creative. I do my best to make creatures to fill it, but it is a vast expanse, literally endlessly big, but with nothing in it.
Yeah, I caught part of your conversation before. You made your body, right?
Indeed. When rifts become open, I'm able to seize not only heat, but stray matter. I model the majority of my creations after your carbon-based life forms, but modifications must be made.
I'll bet, if the void doesn't have heat or any of its own matter, you need to make creatures that don't eat or breathe, right?
Good human. I model most of them after myself.
And you eat concepts.
Yes. After billions and billions of years, I've evolved over 1 million species of void creature. Nearly all of them feed as I do, on the concept of suffering.
So it's an endless barren place with no light, no heat, where the only things that exist just go around preying on each other's suffering all the time?
Yes. Is it not marvelous? And someday, human Todd, there will be a rift large enough that it is not the tiny scraps and stray humans which fall through, but your entire plane of existence. You will enjoy it.
Wouldn't I hate it? I got distracted there for a bit, but I grabbed the rum. Can't caramelize it right without a pretty flame. I mean, I don't enjoy suffering.
You'd be surprised what humans can get used to.
I used the wrong English word. A closer translation might be resignation. You would become resigned to an existence saturated with pain. Enjoy isn't the correct term, unless you're a disgusting cluster of miswired brain signals.
Love you too, sweetie.
I know what you're doing, Hendrik. You think if you can keep delaying me with fancy dinners, stolen body parts, gentle words, and rough sex.
Could we not talk about our sex life in public, thank you?
She places a hand on his arm.
That you can stop me. You're as always disgusting, but an appealing opponent.
Look out! And I light it up. The flame shines in her eyes, and I can feel the heat coming off it. I should probably be keeping a close eye on it to make sure it's cooking properly. But looking over at Hendrik and Teleporia, they're holding hands, so simply and happily. She's gripping his hand tightly from joy. The joy of burning bananas. And then she jerks him across the table, straight into the flaming cart. Now that burn, that's one that could cause permanent damage. Though he may be lucky that that's the worst thing that happened to him tonight. He executes a perfect stop, drop, and roll, and soon the flames are out. Ish. Though he's far from unscathed, he's two-faced now.
Human, this was a fantastic dinner. Bring us the statement so that we might repay you for your noble worship and gifts.
I salute and wheel the remains of the upturned cart away. It's not long before I return with the bill in hand. He takes the check. He seems to do a bit of calculation in his head, then lays down some cash.
Well, this evening wasn't a complete waste of time and effort. Organ ravioli.
Hendrik looks up at her.
You may have one short, friendly embrace.
He jumps to his feet, arms wide open to hug her, and one of her tentacles slams into him, throwing his body across the room. It slams into the wall and ragdolls to the ground.
Hug transaction complete.
Oh no, did you just kill him? She heaves a sigh.
Would I were so lucky. No, human, I've merely rendered him unconscious.
That's good.
Via severe cranial hemorrhaging.
That's bad.
He will sleep it off. I've ripped off his limbs before, he can take it.
She looks almost fond. She gets up, walks over to him, and grabs him by the foot.
I suppose it is time to return him to his residence. She perks up. Or I can abandon his body in a trash unit. Perhaps nobody will find him, and he'll be placed inside a trash compactor.
As she turns to drag him away, I ask, Miss Teleporia? She turns quizzical.
Human, I'm departing. You've made it through this evening unscathed. You have little to no ability to comprehend how fortunate that makes you. But I suggest you make an attempt.
I clear my throat. I think I'm trapped. I gesture around at the restaurant.
Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Your world usually has even more light, does it not?
She shrugs.
Well, I had no hand in this.
And with that, she waves aside a tentacle and marches through the front door. Hendrik's head thuds against the ground as she walks down the staircase and out of sight. When I hear the front door close, another server bumps me in the shoulder stepping past. They give me a dirty look and keep heading their way. Just like that, I'm back. I get moving, clearing the table, scooping up the check. I check the tip. 40%! It might not cover emotional distress, but it'll cap off the shift well. This was quite the experience, but for my own safety, I think I'm gonna skip the 2 weeks notice. I came here to learn something new, and I'd say that goal was more than accomplished. Ending 4, a hug goodbye. So that was one ending. I definitely want to see more, but I'll be back on a different day in different clothes to accomplish that. All right, it's been a few days. Let's see if I can remember any of the voices or anything like that. Let's go again. Let's start right from the first choice, which was, let's just bring them the wrong crayon. Like, no, this night, even though it went pretty well, let's just start it off wrong. Ooh, there we go. Out of sheer spite, I grab a blue crayon. Look, I have to be here until all the customers leave, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. This is contrasting with the start where they were so happy to work here. I think the red crayon's the better choice. I bring the crayon back over to him and hand it over. Thank you, Mr. Todd. Look, I'd really appreciate it if you could order something. I'm usually very good with customers, but this is seriously trying my patience. Look, I know you're probably having a rough night, but we're closing soon. No warning, no nothing. He knocks everything off the table and climbs right on it. What the Hey, what do you think you're doing? His deft hand scrawls a wide circle then other than sections off areas, slicing as though the crayon were a knife. He fills it with symbols. They look almost like zodiac signs, only now they're blue. I'm not reading it again this time. No more summoning. It's like I stood up too fast. There's a rushing to my head. There's a pressure like my ears are gonna pop. Okay, let's see what happens this time though, because he didn't use the right crayon. So is she gonna show up all wrong, like from the start? The tablecloth rips and there's a spray of sweet smelling fluid. I leap away from the table as something bursts out. All right, is she gonna assume her final form? Wet spiked appendages, slapping and snaking. They're fleshy but soft, too soft. One smacks the hat off another diner who continues to eat her meal, unfazed. Nobody is screaming and nobody notices me on the ground, arms raised to protect my face and throat too tight to scream again, but that's okay. The thing is screaming enough for the entire restaurant. It's letting out a dual tone screech, high and low. Okay, so let's see. Okay, does anything different happen?
I emerge. You're here. You had me worried, so I figured I'd help break the barrier down a bit. Teleporia, you have no idea how good it is to see you.
Is anything different? We used the wrong crayon. We used the wrong crayon. Somebody noticed this. So I'm gonna skip ahead through and see if the blue crayon has affected anything. If not, I'm just gonna make some different choices for meals. All right, so nothing so far has been different except that we were just a jerk for bringing the wrong color crayon. So far it's just a change for Todd's personality, not for anything in the game. So this time, let's just make choices that probably aren't gonna be appealing at all. Like she can't hurt him with any of these choices. Like a Caesar salad, what's she gonna do to him with that? This doesn't seem to mean much of anything to her, but hey, who can go wrong with the basics? One look at Hendrik and I can tell. Me. I can go wrong with the basics. He heaves a sigh. And what would you like for your entree? She slams a fist down on the table. My stomach lurches.
First, bring me the matter. This physical form requires fuel to sustain itself.
I turn on my heel and fly out of there, an excuse to leave. If there are any kindly extra-dimensional beings looking down on me right now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank them. I rush into the kitchen. Well, you know, it's not my fault that he wants to get injured. It's not my job. All right, so let's get this salad going. They're all acting the same in the kitchen, so let's just bring it back out.
And did I tell you how lovely your eyes are this evening?
From your ever-effusive sewer pipe of compliments springs something worthwhile. I'm in most of them myself, but the eye in the center of my head was my reference object.
I couldn't even tell the difference. Your anatomy has gotten so much better since the last decade.
I served Teleporia her salad, trying not to get too close.
I'll be back in a moment. I need to wash my hands after that summoning.
Before I'll ever feel clean again, I'll need a hot shower, a Brillo pad, and therapy. Teleporia purses her lips and pokes the lettuce with a fork.
Foliage.
Oh no, look at her teeth, that cruel glare. Of course she's a meat eater. What was I thinking? I need to rescue this quickly. Our Caesar salad also comes with anchovies, which you will see there. I gesture towards one of the small fish in her salad. She spears one on elongated claw and peers closely at it with her cluster of eyes.
If you were to diagram your local food chain, where might one find this small creature?
I guess it isn't a plant or plankton, but still relatively toward the bottom? She snorts.
A meager offering for an establishment claiming to vend luxury.
She picks the fish out and chomps them down before shoving the rest of the bowl away, disgusted. That's written as if she's saying it, but she shouldn't be. She wraps the scarf around herself. Now that I think about it, the clothing Hendrik bought for her is all very heavy. Okay, so now we're back to looking at her clothes. All right, so last time, let's do a weird mishmash. I'll say that Todd likes it this time, because first time he said it was okay, but rather turn on a heater. So let's just do like, yeah, into it.
I too enjoy hunting. Actual consumption of matter at times comes second to the thrill of pursuing a terrified creature.
Well, I was thinking about exercise, you know, to keep in shape. She stops.
Do you waste your fuel on extra heat?
Oh wow, so no matter what I say, just Teleporia cannot be impressed. No, it isn't a waste, it's fun. She hisses through her jagged teeth.
The human enjoys this, does he?
Well, yeah. There's only so long I can stand getting jerked around like this. Oh, Todd this time. Todd's got some teeth of his own. There's plenty of good energy right here for you to consume, and you're not going for it.
I'm sure I don't have any idea what you're discussing, human Todd.
I give her salad a meaningful look. She huffs and begins stuffing handfuls into her mouth. And Hendrik returns.
Getting along well?
As well as might be expected.
Still thanks for keeping her company. Okay, let's see. Can she injure him with the salad? That's what I want to know.
I'm finished with mine.
He laughs.
Of course, how could I forget? So then would you like to move on to the main course now?
The next part of the meal.
Ah yes, with the larger portions.
Hendrik points to our menu.
So what were you thinking about?
I always like steak, but I admit that I was kind of thinking about splurging on the...
Hey, human Todd.
Yeah?
Choose. Do it promptly and wisely, or else I will choose to consume something else for my main course.
All right, she's staring. Last time we picked the right one, which was the live lobster. So let's this time pick, not what he wants. Forget Hendrik. Squid ink pasta. The chef's special today is a fresh spaghetti with squid ink and Cajun shrimp. She sighs.
Squids have a special place in my heart for cephalopods.
Oh, so you added the fifth vowel?
Ew.
It's nurturing cuttlefish eggs at this very moment.
Aww.
I looked in for his order.
I'll keep up the seafood theme. 1 lobster, no butter, please.
Coming right up. Okay, so far so good. It hasn't become a disaster and he's not horribly mangled so far. I served Teleporia her pasta. And Hendrik his lobster. Spaghetti might not seem like a fancy food. Well, no, it can. What are you talking about? This is why you had to work at the fancy restaurant to learn. But these noodles are pitch black. I mean, I think they're cool. She seems pretty neutral about them, which isn't the worst outcome I can imagine. So before I go, is everything to your liking? Is the food empowering your true form enough? All right, so then she talks about her true form. So we learn all about what she's really like. All right, dessert time. All right, there's no escaping the dessert. Do you feel like drinking? I sure do. After dinner brandy. And since nobody seems to notice what I do this evening, I'll just grab a glass for myself. and pull up a chair and she can eat up all the discomfort she wants.
I like this human. I'm keeping him.
Oh no, it's going too well. It's going too well for Todd. Sweetie, no! But I'm already off, grabbing the bottle and a trio of glasses. I slam them down on the table and fill them up. I'll bet that you haven't had a good drink in, well, how long have you been stuck in that cold place? She grabs a glass.
Void.
Void. God, what's it like in there? She knocks back the brandy like it's whiskey. What a line. Probably goes without saying that she doesn't drink much.
Dark, cold, mostly barren. Locked for something approaching an eternity with nothing but your own thoughts. Unless one can become creative.
Alright, so we learned about the creatures in the void. I reach for the bottle, but it's nearly empty. She's been putting it away fast. I mean, I don't enjoy suffering. You'd be surprised what humans can get used to. You see, this means less though for him this time because he's not horribly injured. He finally takes a sip of his brandy.
I used the wrong English word. A closer translation might be resignation. You would become resigned to an existence saturated with pain. Enjoy isn't the correct term.
Okay. Cool.
You are, as always, disgusting, but an appealing opponent.
And with that, she slumps over on the table, snoring loudly. By now I can tell that is a smile on her face. He turns her to the side, brushes her hair out of her face, and wraps her up in her scarf. I'm sorry, Mr. Todd. This must have been an awfully difficult table for you tonight. I didn't think they'd give us someone so new. Yeah, the manager didn't warn me that we had special clientele. I was not even close to briefed for it. Well, you handled it marvelously. Did I? This time Todd was a mess. He just did whatever he wanted. If you'd like to bring us the check, I think it's time to get her home. I nod and clean up the bottle and glasses. So are you gonna lock her up or something? He chuckles. No, this is just a sliver of the entity deep in the void. She can always make another body. But when she recalls the memories and experiences from this one, I want to make sure she knows. She can always switch diets. I ponder that while I get his check. She's been around longer than our species, longer than our planet. So no matter how old Hendrik is, it's nowhere close. But when I bring the check back, Mr. Hendrik? I'm rooting for you. Keep on doing the hero thing. He laughs all the way through signing the check, loudly. My dear Mr. Todd, I assure you I'm not being noble. It's very, very selfish. He looks at Teleporia. She grinds her teeth a little, probably dreaming of biting someone. He scoops her up, making it look easy. She must be lighter than she looks. And for a moment, I think he's gonna kiss her on the cheek, but he doesn't. But he doesn't give her anything more than a loving gaze. He carries her off out of the restaurant, and the second they step outside the door, everything goes back to normal. I start busting the table, the tentacles may be gone, but the tablecloth is still a mess. I get it now. That closing space must be part of the restaurant, to keep people safe from their more bizarre guests. Now that they're gone, it'll be up to Hendrik to keep everyone safe. I bust the table and sneak a peek at the check. Dang. An 80% tip on a check with pasta and a bottle of brandy. Makes the idea of staying here pretty tempting. I'm honestly considering it. But first, I'm gonna need to have a long talk with my manager. Normally, that sort of confrontation would be intimidating. But I'm bolstered by the memory of Teleporia's grin. And I grin too. I can handle it. Ending 5. Sweet and Dreams. Okay, so that went fairly well. Changing the crayon didn't really seem to do anything though. So I'm kind of curious why that is. Let's start again and we'll give the right crayon. Just, right crayon is good. And let's start with the one option we haven't done yet, which is tomato bisque. Doesn't seem to mean anything to her. Oh, we make a pretty killer tomato soup here, and it's popular with the kids. I have no idea what flavors would taste good to her mouth, so it's best to stick with something with broad appeal. My eyes flit back over to Hendrik, and there's mild disappointment on his face. This isn't what he would have chosen, but it looks like he can work with it. I mean, I think he can work with anything. And what would you like for your entree? She slams fist down on the table, my stomach lurches. Bring me the matter, okay? Turn on my heel and fly out of there. Get the food. I bring the food back. Does she like it? Does she like the bisque? Please be careful, it's very hot.
Remember, sweetie, that too much heat can injure.
Silence, meat garden. I know what to do with volatile heat sources.
Okay. Right across there, it hits Hendrik. There he goes. She closes, most aroused, and inhales a deep breath, satisfied. When she speaks again, her rough voice is a tranquil tone.
Clean it up, human. This is an establishment with standards, is it not?
Well, it was. Oh, it's different now. Teleporia leans down on the table, the edges of the scarf trail into her bisque. Or at least what's left of it. Is it selfish to be happy that she's disarmed now? I look at the still present tentacles and recalculate that statement. She at least cannot harm me with soup, and that's something.
So human, how do you enjoy generating your own heat?
This time, it's not great. Don't like it at all. Not here for it. I fan my collar a little. I could really use a cold drink right now. She gives me a quizzical look because there's a bus driving past that she can hear.
Are you implying that at times you generate too much heat?
I nod. In the summer, when the sun gets closer to Earth, everything gets hot and gross. Humans can get so warm they die. Her eyes open wide, both of them, all of them.
Do you catch fire and burn?
No, it's not like getting burned. It's just too much heat for the whole system, I think.
And you cannot simply uncover yourselves and release the heat into the vacuum of space?
I shake my head. No, ma'am. The vacuum of space is too far away. In the summer, we're surrounded by too much heat.
Your creator failed to take the season into account. Tell it to mind that on the next draft.
I assure her that I will. And out of the corner of my eye, I see Hendrik returning. And Hendrik returns. Getting along well? Actually pretty well, yeah. Better than I thought for an answer that I thought would make her angry. All right, so the only thing that we haven't had for the main as of yet are getting the stakes together that he wants. So let's give him the stakes. Steak, oh, she loves it. She certainly recognizes that word. She's into it. And I wouldn't normally recommend doing this, but there's a bone, a piece of cow skeleton in the steak. Maybe you might also be able to eat that?
Apparently, yes.
And I'll have the lobster, please.
He looks a little embarrassed.
It is a night for celebrating, you know.
Hey, I don't mind. Rack up that bill and tip me, please. He chuckles and I head off to the kitchen. The cook prepares the dishes as usual and hand them off to me. Okay, we got the steak knife for Teleporia. The serrated edges gleam in the murky light. Oh no. Is it really a good idea to hand a weapon like this over to her? I'm on my own here and nobody will help me if she attacks me. Or maybe since nobody else will help me, I have to deal with the situation myself. She hasn't made a move to harm me yet, but she did do a number on the dining room. It may only be a matter of time. As I look over at table 6, it's time to make a choice. What should I do with the knife? A new choice, an entirely new choice. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna kill, whoa. No. I'm gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna give it to Teleporia as though she were another customer. Caution to the wind. Let's just give it to her. Sorry, Hendrik. Fighting them seems like a pretty bad call. And there's no sense in making things really awkward, right? The night's been going surprisingly well. And yeah, I'm gonna count not dead yet as surprisingly well. I serve the dishes as usual, placing the lobster cracker and fork by Hendrik, and the steak knife next to Teleporia's place. She glances at it, but not for more than a second. The only thing she's intent on attacking is her dinner. Bloody juice flies from the steak, dripping everywhere, pooling in her lap, sprinkling onto her seat, flinging onto the tablecloth, speckling the crayon lines, which start to buzz. Slowly. Ooh, this is probably where it matters that I gave them the right crayon, because since the second time I haven't given them the blue one. Should I call this to their attention? Ooh, this is another potential combo. Maybe giving the wrong crayon and then giving the steak. The summoning circle. This route has a lot more choices. Say nothing. Let's just, let's just let it happen. I say nothing and finish serving their food. As I do, I can see the wood warping like putty until something starts to push against it from beneath. A tentacle shoots out. It looks much like Taleporia's, but smaller and spikeless.
What? The barrier. It's still weak.
Can I not have one night to myself?
She flips the steak knife in her hand, holding it blade down, begins to slash at the tentacle.
Stop acting up for attention.
It squeals, pathetic and defeated, knife buried in it down to the hilt, before sinking back into the rift. Hendrik snatches the crayon up from the floor and scrawls out the circle. The familiar broken surface of the table is once again visible.
I really wish you weren't so harsh on them.
And I wish you'd stop trying to be their father.
Well, I suppose it isn't easy being mother to an entire ecosystem.
Now knifeless, she picks up her steak and rips a chunk off with her teeth. So if she hadn't had the knife, and we didn't tell her, she wouldn't have been able to cut it. This route has all of the extra options. I'm excited.
Let that be a lesson to all. I won't be forgetting that anytime soon.
So before I go, is everything to your liking? Okay, let's see where this leads us. Well, the only one I haven't done yet is the chocolate torte. But I know that like this one gets him burnt. This one makes her like us. But let's try this one because we haven't done it yet. Must remain professional. Everyone loves chocolate. Go with the safe option. Don't screw around when you're so close to the end of this. So close.
Bring it on, Mr. Todd.
The torts here do better after a few hours setting up in the cooler, so they aren't made to order. I grab a couple and some spoons in return. Teleporia doesn't seem to be a fan, but at least she doesn't make a scene. Hendrik asks for the check and I rush off and get it ready in record time. He takes the check. He seems to have a bit of calculation in his head, then lays down some cash.
Well, this evening wasn't a complete waste of time and effort. Organ ravioli.
Hendrik looks up at her.
You may have one short, friendly embrace.
He jumps to his feet, arms open wide to hug her, and one of her tentacles slams him right across the wall. At least he's not burnt this time. That's nice. He ragdolls. He's unconscious. So, does that mean I end up with the same ending? Yeah, I get the same ending. So let's go back to some of those earlier choices, which I think will make a difference. Let's not give her the knife. Fighting them seems like a terrible call, but I also don't enjoy the idea of arming Teleporia any further. So let's not give her the knife. Hide the knife. So before I go, is everything to your liking? Is the food empowering your true form? So no, that didn't do anything. All right, let's give it to her, but this time let's mention the summoning circle. They look up at me. I point at the table where the wood is already beginning to shimmer and warp.
Oh, sweetie, you're opening the rift back up.
He scrounges on the floor for a moment before sitting back up with the crayon. We watch as he crosses out a line here and smudges a line there until the table looks, if not normal, then at least Euclidean. I know this is a good time to reach back to the kitchen, but I can't help but ask. So, did you just close the circle back up? It looked like the lines were already smudged before this. How precise do they need to be? He chuckles and picks up one of the lobster claws.
This wasn't a circle for summoning or making a connection between realms.
He places the claw inside the lobster cracker.
This circle just erode the barrier in an already weak location. Usually this place's owner keeps the doorway nice and clear. Oh well, mistakes happen, right? Just let her know to have a look at it, okay?
Absolutely. She and I are gonna have a long talk.
Huh, it was no trouble.
He starts to squeeze the cracker.
If you know anything works, it's easy to destroy it.
The shell snaps open and he starts to dig the meat out. Teleporia peers his hands, watching closely as he dismantles the creature.
Would you like some?
Pah! And waste time preparing my own meal. My beefsteak is delicious, peon.
Suit yourself, but you're missing out.
On what? Steak is filled with calories for fuel, and proteins which are the building blocks of DNA. Name one thing that makes your meal the superior dish.
I started to take a step back. They're eating. I can leave them in peace. Time to get out of here before...
Human Todd.
Great. Yes, ma'am.
Remain here and bear witness to my would-be mate's crushing defeat.
Yes, ma'am. There are a few things I want less than to stay in the same area as these two, especially if we're gonna fight.
Sweetie, you know I would never want to argue with you. I respect your opinions at all times, even when they're wrong. Oh no.
I'm a deity. You cannot comprehend the depths of my knowledge. If I should make a statement, then it is surely so.
Oh yes, she's so deeply infallible that her first time out in public in the 1800s, she ran screaming from an accordion player, having literally never seen in untold millennia of existence anything like it.
I guess she was lucky that there weren't bagpipes, huh? Wow, and he got stabbed. He got stabbed. He kinda earned it. She lunges across the table, steak knife flying. Before he could even move, she stabs 3 times, knife driving down to the hilt with each thrust. Hendrik coughs, blood dribbling from his chest. He didn't move a finger to defend himself. One of those stabs must have gotten him in an organ. And it's not like he can't feel it. His face is skewed up from the intensity of the attack. Suppose that was uncalled for, wasn't it, sweetie?
I'm sorry I missed what you said, because it sounded like you were spinning lies to the human.
Never, darling. At a complete loss, I pull an extra napkin from my apron and hand it over to Hendrik.
So human, have I won the argument?
I'm gonna say yes. Pretty definitively.
Ha!
Now knifeless, she picks up her steak and rips a chunk off with her teeth.
Let that be a lesson to all.
I won't be forgetting that anytime soon. So before I go, is everything to your liking? All right. So he's stabbed this time. The favorite, let's light him on fire again. Let's light him on fire again and see if it leads to a different outcome. I wanna see if the fire, we've had a lovely time, I think. Oh, no. I think I've got the 2 of you figured out by this point. And I think if I want this to be a truly satisfying night for our esteemed void goddess, then she's gonna enjoy this dessert, or at least how we cook it. What is this blathering about? But I can tell I've got her hooked. We cook it tableside with a huge flame. Yep.
Hendrik, you're always begging me to share dessert with you.
I scramble about the kitchen, grabbing everything I need. Am I clear to do this? Let's see. Yep, he gets burned. He's trying to stifle a laugh, but it's pretty obvious. He loves it. Called it. I think he's just trying to keep up appearances. He executes a perfect stop, drop, and roll, and soon the flames are out. Eesh, though he's far from unscathed.
Human, this was a fantastic dinner. Bring us the statements that we might repay you for your noble worship and gifts.
I salute and wheel what remains of the upturned cart away. It's not long before I return with the bill in my hand.
Abysmal choice.
Oh.
Meat soups. Flaming fruits. Bring additional fire so I may raise this entire city.
Oh. She laughs.
I jest, human. Why would I wish to rob myself of the future enjoyment of dining here?
You nearly gave me a heart attack.
Should your organs cease, kindly deposit yourself in the nearest rift. I would be pleased to craft your matter into a new species.
Nice. Let me finish using it first. I've got plans.
Treat it well. I will be most displeased should my waiting be for naught.
Hendrik puts his very, very bloody napkin on the table. Looking at him, battered, burned, and bloodstained, there's the vague sense that I should be doing something, getting a first aid kit or calling an ambulance. But that right there is just normal. That's what normal is for them. That's what their flirting looks like.
And you,
she turns to face him.
Surely the world will not thank you for any continued services or of stalling me. But as you persist, and as your form does not look entirely disagreeable this evening, I find it acceptable to engage in the human ritual of mouth touching.
He springs to his feet, even though it looks like he should be stumbling over. Sweetie. She moves in for the kiss, and of course it's odd, but I don't know. It feels right seeing them together, and who would have guessed that she was capable of being gentle? Maybe that's just the way love is. Oh! And there goes half his face. She's got the skin in her hand, and it looks like she even took a muscle or two with it. She gives it an affectionate nuzzle.
I will be waiting by your vehicle. Do not keep me long.
It's hard to tell with his lower jaw missing, but there's enough cheek muscle left to see a grin. Do you want a bandage, or... He shakes his head and gets to his feet. He pulls out his wallet. He looks up at me, and through the blood, he's still beaming. Thank you. I nod back. I hope that wasn't one of his nicer ties. How much clothing do regenerative masochists go through? Best date in over 100 years. I think she might have reopened his stab wounds, too. When I look up, he stumbled toward the door. Is he okay to drive? Whether teleporter can or can't operate a car, I assume the outcome would be similarly disastrous. As he leaves, everything goes back to normal. I start busting the table. The tentacles may be gone, but the tablecloth is still a mess. I get it now. That closed space was part of the restaurant to keep people safe from their more bizarre guests. Now that they're gone, it'll be up to Hendrik to keep everyone safe. Good luck with that. I gather up the check and start walking it back to the kitchen.
And somehow, after a night of monsters and gore, this is the biggest surprise of the evening. He's left me 100% tip on a dinner with steak and everything. Best ending. I don't want to say that there's a price at which I'll bear this kind of treatment. I mean, what would that say about me as a person? I have pride. Still, I came here for experience and connections, and I sure experienced something tonight. My heart's still racing. The second that rift opened, I wanted to be anywhere but here. But now, I can't imagine working anywhere else. What do I need to research other restaurants for? This place is magic. The minute my shift is over, I need to have words with my manager. I don't mind that she didn't warn me. I never would have believed her. But I need to make absolutely certain I want to have the Saturday shift permanently. I want to meet all the strange creatures out there and hear all their stories. This is a career. Ending 1, kissing on the 293rd date. Oh, I see this one is considered the best ending, clearly, because look, we're getting credits. We did it. True end. This was fun. I know there are a couple more endings. I think 2 and 3. But this was a lot of fun. I like this. I'm debating. I'm not sure if I'll leave it here, if I'll come back and try and kill Teleporia or not. But yeah, let me know what you think of this in case I don't come back to it. And thanks so much for hanging out with me here on Enjoying Pixels. This was a lot of fun. It didn't take itself too seriously. At some points, there wasn't too much variation in the dialogue, but it was still fun to go through and try and find the variations that would get you to unlock different things. So yeah, I had a good time with this. I will see you again soon on Enjoying Pixels. If I don't come back to this, it'll be with something else. See you soon.